Hi everyone, so we are resuming with the Chandigarh chapter. Have a session talk by Chandigarh chapter, which is psychological safety for teams in VUCA world, which is very much important to all the organizations right now. So just before I start off we start off the session, let me quickly thank our founding sponsor at Innovation Roots, which is a leading consulting and training service provider, helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. For more details, you may refer to www.innovationroots.com. I would also like to thank our sponsor, Agile. Agile is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Service Limited. It is a purely cloud-based enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprises can use Agile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Disciplined Agile, LESS, and more. You can also try Agile for free up to 20 users for 30 days by signing up at agile.io, or you may reach out to us for more inquiries or exclusive product demos. Check out our Agile page on Agile Network India website, which is posted in the chat box. Quick do's and don'ts to our participants. I would request everyone to join 5 minutes before the start time, and I would recommend you to use high quality speakers or headphones for better sound quality. Please keep your microphones muted and videos disabled, as this may cause disturbance and bandwidth issues. Questions will be taken via chat box. Please enter your questions in the chat box at any point of time during the sessions. And at the end of the sessions, our facilitator or moderator will help and read out few questions to the speaker as per the time availability. I would also request you all to fill in the feedback form after the event, which will help us understand more about the event management. We appreciate your cooperation. With no further delay, let me call upon Nupur and Abhinav. Thank you,
Thank you so much, Navina.
Over to you.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, Navina. So yeah, we are talking about a very relevant thing in our work environment these days, which is about psychological safety for our teams. And in the pandemic, the landscape for work has completely changed. I think all of you would agree with me. And we have been talking about VUCA conditions prior to the pandemic had hit us, but we have experienced it for the real in the last 1.5 years when the work has gone remote. A lot of collaborations happened online. So it has completely changed the landscape, as I was saying. And I was reading an article in Harvard Business Review about the psychological safety, and there's an executive from a leading global food brand, and he quotes that our office policy is that people should come into the office once per week. Now they are organizing a team meeting with 15 people. I guess some people seem to feel comfortable with that, but I am not. I have a young family at home and we have been very careful. I can't say that though. So he's expressed everything. He's privately shared this thing. He didn't disclose his name, but it's so important. We are working remote and there are many challenges we are facing at our personal ends as well. And it's such an important topic, and looking forward to hear from you, Abhinav, on this.
Thanks, Nupur. Thanks, Navina, for the introduction. And thank you for our Kolkata chapter guys, the HR friends, who set the mood perfectly before my talk. So they talked about trust, they talked about appraisals, and what could not create. We only need like a fire mastic to ignite the negativity out in the organization. So yeah, look, we have been talking about mental health, the kind of state people are living in right now. So without further delay, let's start with our topic on hand: psychological safety for teams in VUCA world. First of all, thank you for joining in. And time is the most precious currency, and thanks for spending it on us today. Without further ado, I'll give a brief introduction about myself, just to let you know who I am and where I'm speaking from. So I'm Abhinav Goel. I started my career as a business analyst with a small startup, and then gradually grown up as a product owner and more lately product manager. I have worked with teams from the scale of a startup and helping Fortune 500 companies build their product right from the scratch, and have been part of multiple digital transformations and agile transformations with the teams. Personally, I'm a family guy. I love my family, to spend time with my family. I love to travel, which, sorry to say, I'm not been able to do much past couple of years for understandable reasons. But yeah, I love listening to music, and I love to talk about people skills, process management, and product development. That's my liking. And you can also find me writing on my blog, which is theabhinavg.com. Feel free to subscribe. That's a bit about me, and feel free to tweet about your views and reviews, your questions, anything. Tag me on Twitter. Use the hashtag psychological safety. Tag ANI. Tag me. And if we are not able to take up your questions right now, we can take it up later. Just DM me over LinkedIn, or you can DM me over Twitter. Cool. So, without so what would you what would I want you to take away from this session? So first of all, what is psychological safety? The second one, why is it important for me and my team? And there are some simple methods to develop psychological safety. It's not about that you need to have a management say into that. There are very simple ways that you can just start working on it. I can explain that from my story. So let's start with the state of the world that we are in, and why do we actually need to understand psychological safety at first. I never knew about this term 2 years back, and I learned about it in my journey of situations that I'm going to share with you guys today. Cool. So we go through these news articles and a lot of stuff that is happening on internet, like the world we are living in, only the worst pandemic that world has ever seen. I think since the World War II, there have been more casualties than the World War, and that's the kind of world we are living in right now. And it has affected the mental state of people. A lot of research has been done and are being conducted that how COVID has affected mental state, and rather how working from home has affected mental state of people, because they not only need to take care of themselves, they need to take care of their family. They need to ensure that their families are safe, and they are just ready to get vaccinated, or should they get vaccinated, should they not. There were a lot of confusions, a lot of ambiguity that is happening all around us. Even the healthcare system, the healthcare systems of even superpowers were exposed during this time. We have seen big superpowers crumble under the pressure of pandemic. We talk about US, we talk about Spain, Italy. They are called upon as the superpowers of healthcare as well, other than the military power they are supposed to having. And let alone India, we have our own challenges. We have our population challenges. We did know that our healthcare is weak, but again, it totally exposed the kind of healthcare we are having in our world. And even when last in the beginning of this year we started to unlock, there are still the world has totally changed. I myself, if I tell my story, it took me about, I think, couple of months to just feel the fact that I can step out of my home. Because before than that, whenever I tried to step out, every person coming towards me was a dagger basically, towards me and my family. So that is kind of the mental pressure I was in, and the kind of complexity in the world, the kind of volatility in the world, and we could not take care of that. The biggest example here is that somebody like Naomi Osaka, even a champion like that, a champion athlete like hers, she's the world number one tennis player, by the way, and she pulled out of French Open just recently, just citing mental health reasons and her depression struggles. And this was like something that hit me really hard, and I even blogged about it, my views on this one on my blog. This really explains the kind of world we are living in. Nobody was supposed to come out like that, and especially somebody a mainstream like her. There have been examples in the past, but this was something really new uh, uh, when it comes to a player of her stature. And that's where we come to. the VUCA world, the volatile, the uncertain, the complex, and the ambiguous world we are living in. And that is why we need to make sure our workplace are healthier than before. And that too, the workplace is actually our own home. It's more challenging. We don't have any face time with our colleagues. We don't have any face time with our leadership. We don't have the time to discuss the things that were being discussed by the Kolkata chapter as well, going to the pantry and have a quick chat, have a quick coffee of 10 minutes and discuss everything about your personal life. We don't get that time on remote working. You can get over a call, but it's certainly not same, and that is what it makes it more important, that we need some trustworthiness, some love in the workplace as well, and not just at home. So with so I can we can start with the story of a product manager. I would not say it is myself. I feel free for you guys to believe that, but yeah, for obvious reasons, this is I have named it as a story of a product manager and not mine. You will get to know. So the team, when there was no corona, the team was going really well. Joined this startup, this interesting startup, and not me, the product manager. Sorry, my typo. So the guy joined a great organization, the super speed growing martech company, and believes that we can change the world. And that was what was happening. The revenues were going strong, the product was gaining popularity, but then the world changed, and the COVID pandemic hit us in the head basically, and the management had to take a hard stop and take the stock of the situation of what we need to do. And there were some decisions that were taken that people were not happy. So what does the product manager do? Because he does not has any say, and he was not apparently even asked for their decisions at all. And these are the kind of times that we're living in. And I think this is not about the story of just this product manager. It could have been story of many people who are working in different organizations. It could be a small organization, a big organization, a mid-level organization, anywhere. We were facing the same challenges because nobody knew how to tackle this kind of a problem that we are seeing. This is totally new for everybody. But what challenge it brings is that we cut down on our cost, we cut down on the people, and then the product manager is expected to still deliver more than what the team was supposed to do initially. Because now that the customers are actually going to shut down their businesses, we need to deliver more to them. And even knowing that this would hurt us financially, but that is what was expected. And frankly speaking, there was no other way out that anybody was seeing at that time. The getting new people, new clients, that was even more challenging during that period of time. So the product manager takes sits one day and just thinks about what is happening, how should he tackle it. Is he the only one who is facing this challenge, or because he is the manager and he's supposed to manage things, uh, is it his job only to do that? But is it then fair to take so much pity on himself as a manager? Should he see clearly that there could be challenges that the management is also facing, and what challenges my team is facing? So that is what he did. He just take the stock of the situation and then get to know what challenges the people are dealing with. The CXOs, the management, they were already dealing with the pressure of revenues, investors showing the profits to them, to get more investments, and the pressure of that performance from the company releasing more products for the customers. That's the pressure they have. And now with this VUCA world, they do not know what will happen next. For example, if your customer were in hospitality or travel industry, it was like your business would have gone from 100 to 10 in just a day, overnight. That's it. Similarly, for the manager, it's a very tough job because you are getting this pushback from the top level leadership that you need to get more output from the team because we need to deliver more work faster. We need to deliver 2x faster than we were doing initially. So get there and get in those trenches and do that work out, because we need to make sure that our clients stay with us in this time. We cannot afford to lose more clients, which we are already losing at a ridiculously funny speed. And then the team who is actually working day and night to make sure understand the problems they are facing at this time. They are getting more pressure to work, while they are not knowing that they will be having a job tomorrow or not. So that's the kind of situation that was in everybody was in. So the product manager thinks that, yeah, I'm not the only one in this, we are in this together. So let me figure out a solution. What could I do? What should I do to make things happier at a workplace when we are not sitting together even? And how what could be the possible strategy to get out of this? If not 100%, could I make a change that is 15%, 10%, 20%, anything that I could contribute to make this atmosphere positive and have some trustworthiness between the team that we are in this together and we need to get out of this together. That is where he found out about Amy Edmondson, the knight in the shining armor. The product manager gets to understand that Amy Edmondson's research in 1999 pointed out the term called psychological safety. So what basically psychological safety is that you need to make a healthy environment in place in workplace so that people can perform, people can raise their questions, people can raise their voices, and it is an open culture where people are expected to learn new things. They're expected to do creative experiments with judgmental failures, with intelligent failures, that would something that would be helpful for the growth of the team. So he goes on deep dives and about Amy Edmondson and the research. So there was a research that Amy conducted in a healthcare facilities in US, where the subject was to get to know what kind of drug errors people make in the healthcare in those healthcare facilities, to what percentage of errors they make while treating drugs to their patients. So there was few hospitals that were having like great nurses, great staff, and they were expected to outperform the other ones, obviously because they have more qualified staff and more experienced staff. But that was not the case. She got to know that people who were having really good team were actually making more errors than the people who were having average people group in the facility. And the people who were being more in a comfortable kind of a zone where nobody was asking any questions, there was no accountability, people, she thought that they would be more happy and they would be performing better. But no, that was not the case again, and those people were making more mistakes, but because nobody was held accountable for anything. So she gives this interesting theory with an awesome output, and she divides the workplace culture into 4 zones. So this is psychological safety plotted against the performance, which is motivation and accountability that you have at your workplace. The first one is apathy zone, which if you are in, I'm sorry to say, this is the worst zone that you could be. Like the workplace culture is toxic, and you are not even motivated to do well. You are just expected to deliver results, and that's about it. There is no second thoughts about it from the management. The second one is the anxiety zone, where you are expected to have some clear goals around in front of you, and management does say that you need to do well on this, and you must be appreciated. You will be appreciated on doing good work, but it's again pressure of performance only, and you know that if you do not perform, you're not getting a good appraisal, or you're getting bad reviews from your management, and your job will be at stake. So this is the general zone where I see most of the companies working in. The next one is the comfort zone. The example I shared about the healthcare facilities. The comfort zone is basically people are laid back and nobody is accountable, nobody is held accountable, and everyone is just enjoying their way of work, and everybody has their own way of work. This is where the accountability and motivation totally fades away with time, and you cannot expect good performance in this. But what she learned about the average teams in the healthcare sector was that they, the people, the average people who were making mistakes, they were discussing their mistakes and they were learning from it. They were getting better at it. If somebody made a mistake, they used to take an opinion from the second person that do you think that I made a mistake, or do you think I need to do better? So they were learning from each other and they were learning new things faster, and that is where she found they struck gold. Basically they performed really well, and that's what the zones are here. Now if you guys are on a PC or a phone, or maybe just use the chat box, tell me which workplace zone your workplace falls in. You can log on to menti.com and input this code, and you can select your option. We can take 1 minute here And let's see, what do you feel about your organizations? You can also type in your option in the chat. Anxiety. Okay, we have one response in the chat. Anybody else? Let's take 30 seconds more. Anxiety, anxiety, anxiety on the mentee. Comfort. I would like to work there for some time at least. I actually got a chance to work in a comfort environment, and I left the place after a year because it was getting too comfortable for me. Priya, learning. Wow. Nisha, learning. That's great. Cool. So this is what where we start. We just just do a deep thinking about your organization when you go to workplace tomorrow, and just give it a thought. What kind of workplace are you working in? It's not that you are subjecting a workplace environment or a culture. It's just a realizing where you are working, and then what effort do you need to make it better. If you are in a comfort zone, where do you think you can push back towards the team members and make the more challenging environment where they can learn also. If you are in an anxious place, I think this is more of a 60-40 situation, where, like somebody in the chat has also mentioned, it also makes you push to search for solutions. It's an interesting zone to be. But yeah, I think the constant struggle should be between the anxious and the learning zone, and that is where the sweet spot it. Because if you're only in the learning zone, there will be one step that you will move on to the comfort zone. So there has to be a balance between the anxious and learning zone. That is what I feel. While it is very tough to maintain only learning culture. So the product manager thinks, yeah, good word, psychological safety, apathy zone, anxious zone. Yeah, I am in an apathy zone. What should I do? Psychological safety will help me. Well, turns out the fact, it actually does. So Gallup, a big American US-based research firm, conducted a research on 100 team members, 100 teams, so to speak, and they noticed that it actually increases 12% of the productivity of the team if the people are more trustworthy to each other, and people are accountable to each other, and they take group accountability rather than single person's accountability. So this was a great research. You can read about more in this research. I'll share the presentation over my blog by tomorrow, and there are some good resources that you can go through. This is a great research to read upon. So now that we have some idea of what psychological safety is, let's define what is psychological safety for you. Again, use the same Menti that you have logged in, and put in one or two words that you think psychological safety means to you. You can also use the chat window to put in there. And there is no one definition to psychological safety. There are multiple definitions that you can read about from psychological safety. It could be Amy's definition. There is Timothy Clark, who just recently written a book on about it. So there could be multiple definitions, but what psychological safety means to you and your team could be totally subjective to your workplace, to your environment. Remaining cool and try to help within your environment. Yeah, opening everything. Interesting. Yeah, good response, Priya. Allowing an individual to exhibit the passion inculcated all these years as experience. Yeah, I can make mistakes and given the guidance to correct them instead of humiliating me. Exactly. Yeah, these are really good definitions. So it's all about describing the team climate characterized by interpersonal trust and mutual respect, which people are comfortable being themselves. So let's tag this: team climate, interpersonal trust, mutual respect, and comfortable. So these are the four core things that I see whenever I work in a team. I make sure that my team climate is really positive, and the interpersonal trust between the dev team, the QA team, the design team, the management team, the leadership bridge with me and my team is very good and apt, and they trust that this team will perform. And the management has to develop a trust around the team, and teams have to develop a trust around the management that they will not hurt their feelings, and they will always be rewarded, and their failures will be appreciated. And that's what creates a mutual respectful environment and comfortable environment for them to excel. Like the last talk the Kolkata chapter was talking about, this is it's all about trust. Basically, if you trust your team members, you can do good. And we can have a great example of this with Bob Chapman. So I came across this story. Bob Chapman is the CEO of Berry Weimiller Companies, a big manufacturing US firm. And in 2008, they lost 30% of their orders overnight just because of the market crash. And they had to cut down their cost by $10 million. And he knew there is a board meeting coming up tomorrow and layoffs will be discussed. And frankly, there were no other way outs that anybody could have thought about. Layoffs were evident. They had to happen. So what happens? Do you guys think that the layoffs happened? I was shocked to read the solution. What happened was is still to date. Most of the leadership uses this as a case study for how to develop trust in your leadership, and how to make your team actually your followers and your fans rather than your subjects. So what Bob Chapman proposed the next day was that he will not lay off a single person from his team. Yes, they need to cut down on $10 million, but what he proposed was that each of the management, the senior management team, including himself, will take a 4 weeks unpaid off, and that will be 1 week every time. No second week can be constant. So basically, 4 weeks off within the next 6 months. What happened was that everybody started taking an unpaid leave, and even the employees followed. Now, why do you think that the employees followed? The thing is the mutual respect and the trust that this guy built towards his team. The team got to understand that their leader is ready to sacrifice their own wealth, their own salary, their own position for them to be feeling safe and for them to be performing well. The employees even took unpaid leave more than they were expecting. They were taking 5 weeks of unpaid leave just because some other employee who was doing more poor, who was being more who needed more resources for their family, could take like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So they took it upon themselves. It was such a beautiful synergy between the team that one leader changed everything about it. So it's all about mutual respect that he developed towards him and the team, the leadership he shows. So following up on that story, why is it important for me and my team? This is a good scenario where you go to your CXOs or your senior management and they give you something to go about. Like in the example I shared initially, in the VUCA world, they told the product manager to perform like have a 2x output, to have a 3x output, because they want to maintain their existing clients. And the manager knows that this will not be possible with the existing team, because we already cut down on the staff and people are demotivated, they could not perform well. But the leadership still pushes to do that. Another one, I think this is the most popular scenario we could think of. You are sitting in a meeting and you have a good response towards whatever your manager or the moderator of the meeting is throwing upon you. And rather than rationaling with that, providing a reason or maybe asking a question, you just sit mum or you either say agreed. So imagine this picture in your office. Which one of you are in this? Are you the manager who is just uh, expecting everyone to agree? Or are you the manager who is expecting the team to bring up some ideas, but the team is in turn speaking speaking nothing, and they are just agreeing to everything he's speaking? or are you the employee, or are you the team member who is just having a lot of ideas and he knows that this idea is really bad for the team and will not work in any case? You have strong reasons to believe that, but you still choose to stay quiet. Now, why do people do that? I also did that. I also do that sometimes, and I still do that sometimes. I don't have shame to admit that people do that. And I got to understand this, why people actually do, when they know that they are doing something wrong. Why do still people continue doing that? So in the Amy's research, she mentions a term called impression management. You don't ask questions, you don't admit your weaknesses or mistakes, you don't offer ideas, and you don't critique the status quo. Basically, all these things, we make ourselves believe that we could be sounding negative if we speak. We may sound intrusive to our manager if we offer our own ideas. That would not look good to me. So it is also good for me to speak, to do not speak at all and just say mum. And my manager will believe that, yeah, I'm ready to follow him anywhere, and that's what my ladder will be to rise in this organization. But that's not the case. And I myself experimented this with my family, with my team. And there is research to show that Google conducted this research in 2009. They did not even included Amy Edmondson in the research, but they found her research and they used that one as a metric, the psychological safety. So they conducted this experiment over 180 different teams, and they found out that psychological safety is the top metric which a team, if a team has, will perform much better than the other ones. It's basically starting with conversational turn taking. You give chance if to everybody to speak, to question, to answer, to share their ideas openly, rather than just pushing them towards one goal. That's not that was expected out of the team. There is another experiment that they conducted called the reading the mind in the eyes test. So this is an interesting experiment. I never tried it, but yeah, I have read about it. It looks very creepy, where you actually show pictures of eyes to people in your team and get them to explain what kind of emotions that person would have been undergoing when this picture was clicked. So this is basically a practice to develop social sensitivity in your team members, to understand the emotions better. This helps when you are meeting, especially in remote work. When you are meeting, you need to judge better with the voice. Maybe if the camera is on the face, that what your employee is actually feeling. He's saying yes in front of you, but is that a certain yes, or is it just to make me happy that, yeah, I'm in this with you? These are some things that I experienced with my team. So it boosts confidence, the psychological safety. When you build trust, it boosts confidence and engagement by giving voice to the members. You let them ask questions. You have an open session to let them ask the questions and bring them on their ideas, welcome the ideas. A good example I could share is that a new joinee started entered a meeting that we were doing, and we were discussing some ideas about a new feature that we were going to develop. Now he gave his own idea. The idea was, interestingly, the idea that we already rejected as a team in previous meetings, but obviously since he was a new joinee, he never knew about it. So one senior team leader in my team comes hard on him and tells him that, why are you bringing this wasteful idea? We have already discussed it and we are not going to do that. Now that was really not only harsh for the trust that the new member needs to believe in when he's joining the team. He wanted to feel comfortable and also being acknowledged that he is open to share his ideas. Now that was something that hit me hard, that how would that person feel? So what you could do is that you can just act, stay in the act, let the person explain their idea. You just rational with them, you just debate with them openly. Why do they think that this idea is good? Maybe they bring in a good point, maybe they agree with us. Yes, we give them the plausible reasons that what we discussed the last time. And this is how you build the trust with the new joinee as well. This is very interesting thing that I actually did with a new joinee who was reporting directly to me, and I asked for his ideas. He gave his ideas, and I actually enjoyed these ideas, and he actually motivated me to go back to my original idea, which I already rejected. And we started documenting these test cases in a new tool and everything, and that helped a team a lot. Increased our documentation quality, increased the speed of testing. So you have to be open about it. You need to foster that innovation and the culture of creative freedom to every team, every team member, and that's how you build teams. On the organizational level, if the team is feeling good, there will be higher productivity, there will be trust among peers and leaders. And obviously, when you are working together as a team, whether you are a manager, you are a CXO, or you are a team, there will be better trust between the team, and you will be getting better output, better motivation from the those. And then obviously, when the team is giving more productivity, you will have a competitive advantage to do more inventions and maybe beat your competitions through this VUCA times. Now, some simple methods that I tried to develop psychological safety with my team. One rule I created with the help of my management was that there should be no interruption when there is a meeting. When somebody is speaking, let them speak. Obviously, we have to hard stop on the time, and there should be some time limit. We fixed like people can speak up to 2 minutes whenever we are discussing some issues, and then accept mistakes. Culture of accepting the mistakes. Now, when as a product team, the team does almost daily deployments of fixes and new features are going on live, and they are bound to create some kind of issues. What used to happen was that if there was an issue, the person who actually deployed that build was used to be held accountable, that it was your duty to take care of making sure that the environment is working fine and not or not. But what we started now is that we have a group call together, and we do a combined RCA. Then we document those RCAs in Confluence, and then we share it with the team. So basically, we are making a library of the mistakes that we did, basically helping other team to grow in the process rather than finger pointing everybody. The third one is very important one. Reflective teaching. So this I learned during one of my courses that I did, organized by Innovation Roots, The Heart of Agile, by Alistair Cockburn. So reflective teaching is basically nothing but you rationaling with yourself as a third person. You basically put yourself in that situation, question yourself, what could have gone wrong, what could be done better, and then you come up with better solutions. So this has helped me to understand different perspectives, like the example of the product manager in the start, from the CXO's perspective, from the manager's perspective, from the individual's perspective. You need to see the not just the high level view, but the holistic picture of what all wheels, what all cogs in the machinery are working, and what kind of stress they could be feeling in this team. A simplest method that I see for you to develop is that Gallup research suggests that what we can you can ask just 4 questions to your team. Just gather the team around and just put those 4 questions in front of them. What can we count on what can we count on each other? What is our team purpose? What is the reputation we aspire to have? Basically, where do we want to reach? And what do we need to differently to achieve and reputation that fulfills our purpose towards that? So basically setting the combined goal in terms of your team, and then developing steps to pushing your team towards that, basically creating a feeling of we are in this together and working towards to achieving a podium position that everybody loves to have. So again, organizational level, we motivate culture of innovation. Basically, we have an ideathon. We have Tuesday sessions of training, and I even read about other day on the Twitter that some employee posted that they have mental health days in their teams, and they even offer bad mental health days where a person can simply put their no meeting Slack status, and nobody will even question them that why they are not attending any meetings. The other thing is, which our Kolkata chapter HR guys also discussed in the last session, was that generally teams appraise the super performers, and that is what creates the unbalance between the team and brings in the negativity in the team. And there is actually a research proving that a super chicken model. So it gives you a smile when you come to know that there is an actual theory, a model that is worked after a super chicken. So this guy William Moore in Purdue University monitored created 2 sets of chickens. One was the super chickens who were like highly productive and their egg production was really good. The other group was the average egg producing chickens. So he monitored them for 2 years for the 2 generations. And what he found about 2 years later was that in the super chicken group, only 3 were left. Each of them pecked each other to death because each of them wanted to be the superior leader. while in the average chicken group actually continue to perform really well and actually increase their production. And that is why we say that you do not inform just appraise the super performers in your team. The appraisals, the appreciations should be on group to group basis and not the individual to individual basis. Some great examples, Infosys, like they have their own farm where they let multiple employees to come in and participate in growing vegetables and increasing the social bond between them, the diversity in their culture. Then a great example I came across was in Sweden, where they have these synchronized coffee breaks, which are called ficas. And one of their organization actually implements this religiously, and they face 50 million USD profits those year, just after implementing synchronized coffee times for the whole team. And the whole office is basically for 15 minutes on coffee break. And that's what the rule that organization has. Another I came across was Adobe. They give a global day off to rejuvenate rejuvenate, take a break from this pandemic stricken world, and even spend more time with your family. So this is of your choice. You can take that global day off on your choice of day. I would close with the story of Colonel Babu. So if anybody knows about the Galwan Valley crash last year, we lost many soldiers there. Colonel Babu was just recently honored with Paramveer Chakra. Now, what he did was that he actually stood his ground. He made sure that the aggression from the enemy troops would be stopped much longer until when the more of the Indian troops were coming to support them. He gave his life to just to make sure that nobody of his brothers die. He would rather prefer that happening to himself. Now I try to study about many military stories. We read about many military sacrifices and stories all over the world, and we generally feel that it is because they are super patriotic guys. Yeah, they are doing it for the country. Yes, they are doing it for the country, but why is a human pushed to the limit of even sacrificing their own life for somebody else? And I got to understand that what they had was trust. The trust is that Colonel Babu had trust that if it would have been some other soldier in his place, he would have also given his life for to save him. And that's what the trust does to teams. If you have trust and mutual respect towards each other, you do work about that. And that's what makes it so beautiful that a person could actually go to that extent. And ending, I have this attended this great talk by Richard Kasparowski. He's a team coach and leader, and he just explained that psychological safety in the end is just a business jargon that we generally use now and more popularly last couple of years. It is basically the love and friendship between your team members, and that is what it all matters and nothing else. That's what psychological safety is. And yeah, having mutual respect, having trust that everybody has my back is something difficult to build in your team, but starting with small processes, just by having open discussions with the team, could build that thing in your team, and you will see number of changes like I felt for my team. So I think we have time, so we have 7 minutes, so let's take some questions.
Sure. Thank you, Abhinav. That was an amazing insight shared by you with a couple of studies around psychological safety. And thank you for bringing this important topic to the discussion today. We have
Sure.
approximately 7 minutes in hand to take a couple of questions. So we'll try to cover as much as possible. So the first question which I have is, as an individual, how do we test our psychological safety? How do we know where we stand? So have you experienced anything around it? Do you have any suggestions?
Yes. So first thing is that we all can agree on the fact that nobody is really happy on getting up in the morning every day and attending office, both barring a few people who actually enjoy and wait to go online to work. But that's the general consensus. Now, take a pen and paper and see, what do you think is missing in my workplace? What I generally experimented was that imagining a picture of yourself with your team over a team dinner, and check what kind of selfie would you be clicking. Would it be would you see yourself in a team selfie? Would you see yourself with 2 or 3 people in a selfie, or would you rather have your own selfie in a fancy background, or you just have a general HR based group friendship team photo? That is one way to look at it, and you will get to know that what I feel towards my team. First you start from there. What do you feel for your team? The second one is you talk with your team and make them understand. Have a survey with your team. I conducted survey with my team and it was an anonymous survey. I conducted a survey with my own team. So I started with my own reportees first and asked them, where do you see your manager improve or missing? So once you understand the perspective and thinking of what your team is thinking about you, that's the starting point where you work towards it. And then you know what is the clear picture in front of me, and then you start building that trust and that bond with your team. I personally am a very emotional person. I am a very optimist person. What I try to do is that I want to have friends around me working rather than just work colleagues. So in this, even during these times, many people joined in our team, and it was tough to build a bond with them. But again, I had constant one-to-one sessions with them, just to have fun, just to joke around about our work, joke around about our mistakes, learning from them that why did they made this mistake, and what they think could be done better to our process, and where do you think that I could have avoided that mistake from you as a manager. So that is where you create an inviting culture where team actually is open to share, come to you and share your thoughts. Now that is being myself as a manager by the team. It has to start with your management first. So if the management, like, we can talk about fancy appraisal policies, like bell curve is outdated or everything, but ultimately it has to come from the management. That is what we used to talk about agile. Now psychological safety is just a term that we are using. We are talking about same things. Everybody wants to have a positive atmosphere around them, and that is where it starts from the management. And if you want to start small, start with your colleagues that are sitting just around you. Start with 3 people that are around you, and then multiply that effect and see where it goes. And ultimately you will see the changes, and you will notice that the culture is more open, and you will actually make working fun, even in this working from home situation. I hope that I was able to answer the question. I get too excited
Yeah.
about optimistic answers.
No, no, you were able to totally satisfy my question. And we have a couple more questions coming in as we speak, Abhinav, but we just have 3 minutes in hands, and let's try see how many we can cover. There's one question by
Sure.
RC Goel. He's asking, how about leaders proactively facilitating the team and people to open up to speak their mind without fear? Their suggestions to improve, their suggestions to improve environment. So he's talking about how about leaders take a step forward and be proactive in letting people speak up.
Exactly, what I mentioned in the answer to my first question. So the push has to come from the leadership. If you are in a managerial position, you are in the best position right now to actually foster this culture, this kind of culture, because you have people reporting to you. It is your choice now if you want to work from home and just see the trackers, and you see how much time the person was online and how much time the person was offline. Now he could be dealing with medical emergency, or he could be burned out, but you have to be comfortable about it. Yeah, accept the fact we are living in tough times. It is easier to sit in office and get burnt out than to sit at home. It is actually more challenging, but people feel that it is more expected that in work from home you need to perform much better, but work from home brings their own challenges. So as a leader, you just start with a small thing. Just conduct an RCA session with your team. Whenever anything goes bad, conduct an open RCA session and tell everybody to provide their inputs. Where do they think we could have done better? Where do you think we could have averted this kind of failure? And what could be the steps that we could follow to do next time? What I explained in my presentation, also my talk, was also that we used to point out a single person who used to take care of the deployment. Like, it was your build, it was your feature, you developed it. So why did it go wrong? You need to have make sure that environment was well set up and the sanity could have been done. But no, now we conduct a group RCA. and everybody is in there and everybody is able to held accountable. So there has to be a good balance between accountability. Now psychological safety does not mean that if anybody makes a mistake and you just appreciate it, well done, you made a mistake and we will learn now. So that is not the way that psychological safety says. It is about accepting those mistakes but being open about discussing that mistake and discussing with your team. So and that will make the team better and that will foster this culture. That's the first step that you do as a leader.
Thank you, Abhinav. And in the interest of time, we have to conclude this discussion here. Thank you, participants, for asking such lovely questions. And it's been a wonderful session. Thanks again